Again, okay. 3, 2, and 1. Well, welcome to the Connie Pheiff Show. And I am just so excited. I just want to welcome our new networks that we have joining us right now. And we are now hitting over 210 networks. We're in 145 countries. Our new potential listener base is just a mere 5.5 million listeners each month. And we are just everywhere. The Connie Pheiff Show is heard everywhere. And we just continue to grow. And we're adding on new networks each week. And it's just so fun, so exciting. So let's just jump right to the show. My guest is Pete Williams. He's got a new book out, and it's titled Cadence, which is a tale of fast business growth. And he was just announced recently in the 2018 Best Business Book at the International Business Awards. So Pete, welcome to the Connie Pheiff Show.
Thank you so much. Really excited to be here, and got to make sure I'm on my best behavior with over 5 million listeners. That's impressive.
Wait, they don't know what's coming yet. Just wait.
Love it.
So where are you from? Where are you hanging out right now?
Yeah, Melbourne, Australia. So spent a bit of time in the US, but predominantly based in Melbourne, Australia, which has been home forever. Lived in Florida for a while, spent a lot of time in California. But the core businesses and the team and all that sort of fun stuff is down under,
it's down
as they say.
under. That's one place I haven't gotten to yet, but it is on my bucket list.
It's a bit of a flight. I'm used to doing the trek from Melbourne to LA, but for a lot of people, it's a pretty long flight.
Yeah, I bet. Well, so I'm in LA now, so I'll make it happen. We'll definitely.
It's one flight. It's a long flight, but it's one flight.
Yeah, I mean, you fly so much now. It's just like, just give me a pillow or give me a book, and you just sit back and relax. And I love talking to people too. So yeah,
exactly.
We definitely help make it work. So me,
Perfect.
I mean, I am just ridiculously interested in helping lifestyle business owners scale their business. And I was so excited to see when you booked, because your book and the work that you do is all about exactly that.
Mm.
And you also, I mean, being recognized by Forbes. I mean, they called you one entrepreneur today that every marketer should be modeling. Like, wow. Like
it's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's like, I'm hot.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess, the thing I love about that quote in particular is that it's about modeling. My core business is in telecommunications industry back here in Australia. We've got e-commerce businesses, we've got the phone system business, we've got a carrier, I think AT&T, but smaller. So we've got a bunch of businesses in different areas, but all in the telecommunications space. And I kind of, the book and cadence and all that sort of stuff really is about what we're actually doing in our businesses and what's actually we've discovered, we've learned, we've implemented, we've tweaked, we've pivoted. So it's very much a practical based sort of story and book than it is sort of just that theoretical kind of business book, which I think so many authors these days are more theorists than actual practitioners. And I have a bit of an issue with that. Like, not saying that what they're talking about is wrong, but I find it really incongruent that if you believe in the stuff you talk about, the leverage and systems and teams and all that sort of stuff, well, why are you just selling your time for money and only selling books? Like, why don't you have your own businesses? Because that's where real leverage and real growth comes from. And that's kind of always going to be my focus and always has been. And the books and those sort of things are more of a byproduct to try to help share. So the Forbes quote is nice because it's about modeling, not just listening to. Like, it's a slight word change, but like I'm really proud of that.
Well, we're just going to continue on, and then we'll also call you the savvy business marketer, as Pete calls you. So how cool is that? Savvy marketing strategist. Wow. And again, I mean, you're stepping into my world and into my space about marketing. I mean, for years, people referred to me as the queen of marketing, and I just love to do. And you could probably, I'm sure, will agree to this, that marketers, especially entrepreneurs or people early in the game, marketing is like the last thing that they think about.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yes, it's like I got this great product and I know what I'm going to do, and or I'll write a book. And I have so many clients that'll come to me and they'll say, "I just wrote this book." I'm like, "Okay, where is it?" Well, it's sitting in my office or on my computer. I'm like, Did you put it out? Well, yeah, I want to give it to a publisher. Okay. Well, how are you going to do that? How are you going to market and sell it? That's the number one question that they ask. And 99.9% I get, I don't know.
Mhm. That's it. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, the way we've always considered our business is a sales and marketing company that happens to be in telco or happens to be an e-commerce store, or we had involved in a finger food catering business for a while and an outdoor retail store, and every single business or industry I've ever been involved in as a business owner and entrepreneur, it's sales and marketing first. That's the core driver of our business, and that's been massively successful for us, and it has caused some massive hiccups to us that kind of led to what cadence was in the story tells. So it's interesting. There's two sides to the coin, yet I think a lot of people don't even consider marketing at all, and that I think is, for me, it's the lifeblood of any business.
It is a lifeblood. So let's put our listeners' mind at ease. One of the biggest hurdles or challenges they see with that, they see dollar signs and they think, oh, I'm going to have to spend a lot of money on marketing, and I just don't have that. So share with them why it's important and why whatever dollars it is that they do spend isn't as enormous as they think, and it's the best investment that they can do for their business.
Yeah, good question, Connie. A good question. I think there's a couple of things. I think what a lot of people think is when they think about marketing, they think about it's getting new leads, and they kind of only isolate the thought of marketing to getting new people to walk in the door of their retail store or call up or whatever it might be. Yet, really, at the end of the day, no matter what business you have, there's really 7 drivers of profit. And each of those 7 areas you can be doing marketing in to increase that area, which then drives into the bottom line profit of your business. And some of the stuff you're doing doesn't have to be costly lead generation marketing. Marketing can touch everything from getting clients to come back and buy from you again, ways to increase your items per sale, ways to increase the amount of price you're selling your products for. All those sort of areas that drive the bottom line profit of a business all need marketing in some aspect. And I think once you start looking at it that way, it kind of does give you a bit of freedom to think, okay, it's not just about spending money on AdWords to generate new leads or Facebook ads. There's a range of other things you can be doing to increase the bottom line of your business that is marketing, but doesn't need to be costly as such.
Right. So what's that secret sauce that you have? 3 things you're willing to share.
Well, I think really at the end of the day, there's probably 2 big takeaways. One is getting really clear on what is driving profit in your business. And no matter what you are, whether you're, in our opinion, a retail store, as I suggested, you're a masseuse, you're a landscape gardener, you're a web graphic designer, you're an e-commerce store, no matter what industry you're in, you need to really get clear on what your 7 drivers are, or your 7 levers of profit. And really quickly, it's suspects. How many new leads are you getting essentially? How many suspects are coming into your business? How many of those suspects put up their hand and become prospects? For example, sitting down and trying on a pair of shoes in a retail store is the difference between a suspect and a prospect. Every business, there's a micro step that your suspects take to show you they're serious prospects. Then you've got your conversions. What percentage of those prospects actually make a purchase from you?
Right.
Average item price. What is it, the average price of the items you're selling to your customer base? What's your average items per sale? What's your transactions per customer? How often do you get them to come back again? And then bottom line is your margins. And then they're the 7 drivers of profit. And so many businesses I see don't take the time to actually articulate and clarify what they are for their business.
Right.
And once you kind of get that clarity, it actually gives you that breadth of focus, in that I think so many businesses, as you spoke about before, like they focus too much on their leads, on their suspects, and they forget about all the other areas that drive profit. That's the first thing I'd say, is getting really clear on what are the real profit drivers for your business.
Okay.
And then the second thing, which blew my mind when we kind of stumbled across this in our businesses is that if you increase each of the 7 areas by just 10%, just small 10% increases, you might have 1,000 suspects walking into your store a month or a week, just going to 1,100. We're not trying to double your suspects or anything like that. Just, 10% win there. And then you go, I'm going to try and boost my conversion rate from 30% to 33%. Just a small 10% win.
Okay.
If you get 10% wins across all of these 7 areas, the thing that blew my mind was that the result is actually doubling the profit of your business. And I think for so many business owners, the way they try and double their business is by just doubling leads. And that can get ridiculously costly, as you so wisely pointed out before. Yet, if you reframe what success actually is, it's just 7 small 10% wins. It just gives you a lot more freedom to actually have clarity, have focus, and actually reframe what success is. And that, I think, is a massive difference.
7 small bites. And
Yeah.
you really said it, to give them clarity, to take away a lot of that stress.
Massive.
Yeah. So you do it in 7 chunks. Really, that just makes total sense. Like, why isn't everybody doing that?
Well, I think, we'll blame the internet and we'll blame the marketers of the world,
Okay.
ironically, in that I think, I keep hearing these conversations from friends who have had businesses and, people I chat to, in that like, oh yeah, look, I tried to do some marketing years ago and, I tried to do some AdWords or a Facebook campaign or something. Right. And look, it only boosted my leads by 8%. So I kind of canned it. It wasn't worth the effort. Which, when you look at the sales letter, it's like, oh yeah, this technique's going to get you 10,000 new email subscribers next week. And this is going to block your traffic. Yeah. But the beautiful thing with this sort of, this focus of 10% wins is it helps you reframe what success is, and what may have been a failure. You might have said, oh, look, yeah, an 8% boost in our AdWords traffic, not worth the effort. Well, actually, if you look at it, it's pretty close to a 10% win. Yeah. Bang, tick that box, move on to the next lever, and then focus on that.
Right.
Reframe this for so many small business owners that I think gives them the freedom, as you said, to actually have confidence that they're growing the business in the right way. Right. That, oh yeah, if I don't hit a home run, I'm not actually failing. And I think that for so many business owners is important. And then it just,
and really shifting that mindset, because that's what happens. And like you said, or they'll try it one time and it's, I'm not getting the numbers that I see everybody else getting. At least they think that everybody else is getting. And it's like, oh, this isn't worth it. I can't do it. And, I'm done, or, let's move on to something else.
Yeah.
Really good point that, okay, maybe the first time, or even the second time, or the third time, maybe up to the 20th time, you need to keep adjusting, and you really find that leverage or pivot, like I like to call it, and find that leverage to what really is working. And then if they were to add in your 7 key elements of how to break that down, a lot of those sleepless nights might go away.
Yeah, I think, at least for us in our businesses, when we, 15 years ago, and we were having sort of, some interesting times along the journey, the thing that I think caused a lot of the stress for us is not having a strategy or a framework or a model to follow. Like, every morning we were waking up, walking into the business, and then running around with our heads cut off like chooks, going, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Right.
And
the phone's not ringing. Okay, that's
and you jump from one thing to another, and you'd be jumping and pivoting uncontrollably from one tactic to another, feeling like I'm busy, I'm doing work. Why aren't I growing? And and saying to yourself, I've read the E-Myth, I've read Michael Gerber's book, I'm working on my business, I'm not in the trenches, I'm off the tools, and it's like, okay, great,
but working, what's going on?
Yeah, and I think
I like what you said about people stepping into their office with no plan.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's face it, initially we're all guilty of that, because you're not quite sure where you're going yet.
Yeah.
And what to do. So yeah, I mean, like you saying, 15 years, I'm just starting my 12th year in business. And oh gosh, I don't have enough hands and feet and toes to count how many times, you had to shift and adjust.
Yeah.
Find that piece that works, but most importantly, have that strategy in place so you know where you're going.
Yeah, you're spot on. I think that's you could almost argue that was actually a problem that Michael Gerber actually caused, in
Yeah.
that he taught everyone to get off the tools and work on
Right.
your business, which is an important distinction to make. That you
Yes.
can't grow your business if you're under the hood of the car,
Right.
being the mechanic, as opposed to being the
Mhm.
business owner. Yet the problem is that once people got off the tools, they weren't left with an actual roadmap of what to actually focus on, what to
Right.
work on.
Right.
And that way they were just jumping from tactic
Mhm.
to tactic as opposed to having underlying strategy. And, for us in our businesses, these 7 levers have been a really good, strategy and framework for us, because the way we operate it is we kind of look at, okay, here's a lever. We're going to
Right.
work this month on the business to increase our suspects by 10%.
Right.
And, the marketing team work on how we're going to do that. We put something in place, try and get that 10% boost. Next month, we look on the next lever. Okay, how do we get more of those suspects to become prospects? How do we get a 10% win there? And we get tactical within that, but that's our strategy. And every 7 months, we're effectively cycling through these levers, and we keep going around in circles. And effectively, if you are hitting those 10% wins, which aren't that hard, they're not large, massive goals, you are effectively doubling your profit every 12 months. And that is what compounds to some massive growth. And that's the key for me. I think it's been successful for us, is that being the underlying strategy for our focus, in that we were very lucky early on to realize or get into an industry that we weren't good on the tools. I'm not a telco guy. Like, I'm not a phone system technical guy. I got into the market because I found there was a space and a gap. So we went into that area, and that was very handy. And we had to get off the tools because I couldn't install a phone system. I couldn't program a phone system. That's not my skill set. So I was always working on the business, but initially we were running from tactic to tactic, and we didn't have that underlying strategy to focus on. And that's sort of where the biggest shift for us was not just understanding 7 levers, not understanding 10% wins, but letting it be the guidepost for us of what we're going to focus on when we do open the door and walk in the office in the morning.
So you know where you're going. So we're listening to Pete Williams. He is the author of the new book Cadence, which is a tale of fast business growth. So Pete, I do have a couple questions that I always ask each of my guests, and I'll start with for you to complete this sentence. My favorite success quote is,
beware of the dream takers.
Love that.
Yeah, I think, it is for a lot of entrepreneurs. You probably, that's not going to work, or you stay with your job, or various things. It's like, no, there's always going to be dream takers, and they're doing it out of love. It's a bit cliche, but it's true. So yeah, beware the dream takers is what comes to mind mostly.
Wow. My process for evaluating opportunities is,
well, ironically, I'm going to be a bit cliche and say the 7 levers as well, in that, when we come across, it's probably more of a tool for tactics as opportunities, but the same sort of thing is that, if we see a new idea to implement, let's say, we should be doing webinars. Like, everyone's selling webinars this month. That's the thing that every business should be doing. Well, we kind of put it through this filter and say, okay, well, our webinar is going to help increase our transactions per customer? Is it going to help us increase our average item price? Is it going to increase our conversion rate? And we figure out what lever that's actually going to work on and what it's going to actually improve. Because if we can't make a distinction between the tactic or opportunity and what lever it's going to improve, it ain't going to improve the bottom line. It's going to be a distraction. So that's kind of how we do that.
About the webinar, because I just did the same thing, and I found that it's a distraction.
Yeah. In some businesses, it can work in certain ways. For us, for example, where we're implementing webinars in our business in the telco is to our existing customers, not a front end lead generation tool. It's to our existing customers for training, support, upselling, education about new things that are happening in telco, in phone systems, and communications that our customers can have. So we've figured it's going to
where we went, do the webinar for the existing customer, not drawing the customer. And and that's the thing is, and I think Sonia, I was talking to a business owner recently who he's a property manager for golf club residential estate. So people like a residential estate that lives around a golf course. Yes.
And he's like, I bought this webinar course for $2,000. I'm going to start doing webinars. And I'm like, what? Like, who for? He's like, oh, for all my prospects. I'm like, who are your prospects? Oh, they're the developers of these estates. I'm like,
Right.
is a developer really going to sit and watch a webinar about how you're going to manage their
Yeah.
property once they develop it? Of course not.
Right.
Like, he got sucked into the hype of the sales pitch.
Right. Because everybody's doing it in that sales pitch. I mean, I'm gonna jump back here a little bit, and I know we're gonna go over time, but I have to go back here because this is a question that I always get from my listeners. And you're going there with your conversation. One, I work with them and say you need to know who your market is, who your audience is, and then you need to understand what are they listening to, where are they hanging out at, how are you going to get in front of them before you start creating something and spending money that you don't need to create. So now for your business, what is your number one strategy for lead generation for your clients?
For us?
Yes.
So in a telco business, it's AdWords. AdWords is, and that's how we started the business,
Yeah. Okay.
12 years ago, 12 or so years ago, when we sort of, pivoted into the hardware space, we realized that, the receptionist was going on to the internet to look for quotes for a phone system rather than anywhere else. So that's where we pivoted, and that sort of has been still a massive core focus of our business.
So you're targeting their buyer, basically.
Yeah, no, for our business, we sell phone systems to other businesses. So it's the accounting firm, the mechanic, those guys who are buying phone systems are, buying it from us.
Exactly. Cool. Way cool. Way cool. So I wanted to ask that question just for clarity, because like I said, everyone always asks that question. How do I make sales?
Yeah.
So it's not, well, one is pick up the phone. But
True. I think the easy answer to that is, well, every business solves a problem.
Right.
And when your audience, your target market, become aware of the problem they have and actually decide to go and take action to solve it, where do they look for their solution? Like, it's as simple as that. And if you can figure out where do people go to look for the solution to the problems that you solve, answer that question and then just go and stand there. Like it is literally just go and figure out where they look and just make sure you're where they're looking. That could be AdWords. It could be Yellow Pages still. Yellow Pages still works in certain niches. And it really angers me when someone comes on and goes, Yellow Pages is dead. It does not work. Everyone should have a website. That is absolutely not true. There are certain sectors of the market, certain segments, customers who still use Yellow Pages. Yeah. And you can still be very, very profitable. So if anyone ever says that, run away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's different for everybody, and you need to understand your market and who they are. And I was laughing really quick when you said just stand there, because in Southern California, and I know a lot of markets have these, you have the people standing on the street corners with their signs.
Yeah.
And it's actually become a competition here to see who's the best sign holder, dancer type.
Yeah.
And some of them are really, really good. So there's a tax firm that has a couple of these guys out on the corner and gals. And I asked the guy, and I said, is that profitable for you at all? He said, you bet. Because I just put him out there and I tell him, stand here. And he goes, and you would not believe the work that we get in our office because of these guys.
There you go.
And that's what he said. He goes, and he said that term. He said, just go stand there. And of course, they've created, like, people like fight for these jobs, because I would think, oh my God, like, it's people like
crazy
need cash, or, and they're like, oh no, like these people, like they're like competing with what they do.
Crazy.
So there's a business in everything, right?
There you go. Absolutely.
So Pete, we're about ready to close here. So do you have any final last words? And again, let people know about your book Cadence and where they can get a copy of it.
Yeah, appreciate it. I think the biggest thing is just make sure you got a strategy, whether it's something like the 7 levers that we talk about in the book Cadence, or whether it's, I think that's the biggest gap I see for so many business owners. Everyone talks about tactics, and tactics are amazing. That's what actually, makes the cash come in, but it's strategy that actually generates your profits. And so Cadence, look, it's available at all good bookstores. cadencebook.com is kind of, a bit more information around the book. And if people want to pick it up, it's won a bunch of awards, which is really humbling, really exciting. And it just keeps growing and growing.
Well, nice. Very nice. And congratulations for all your accolades and awards. That
Thank you. It's very different for a phone seller from Australia to be winning international book awards.
Cool, cool. Hey. Cheers, cheers. So so our listeners can find more about you also at preneurmarketing.com.
Yeah, Preneur Marketing, so PRENEUR marketing.com. It's kind of where I blog and rant about stuff occasionally about sort of what we're learning and what we're doing and what we're implementing in our business. I'm just pretty much sharing what we're doing and what we're finding to help others, really. That's the core of that site.
A lot of great information there. So Peter, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Connie. Really appreciate it.
Oh, great. I mean, your work is just so exciting and I could just relate to it. And again, our listeners, you need to check out Pete Williams at thepreneurmarketing.guru and just check out some of his rants and, and what he shares there. It's definitely going to be really helpful to you. So I've been called many things myself: the Renaissance woman, unstoppable diva, best in class, queen of the ask, connector and meteor. But one that I enjoy the most is coach extraordinaire and providing you, our listeners, the tools and the resources to live your dream. Hang in there with us because we are moving ideas forward and we are keeping the passion of life activated. We have feature advertising and sponsorships available that you definitely want to check them out on our website at activatemypower.com. And the Pheiff team is here and we are ridiculously dedicated to helping you, individuals just like you, to activate your power and live your dream as a lifestyle entrepreneur. So let me leave you with this thought, and that is, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you sow. And that's what we've been talking about today. You need to get out and you need to market and you need to plant those seeds, and then you will reap that harvest. You're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. If you like what you're hearing, like us and share us with your friends and colleagues, and also subscribe with us on iTunes. Until next time, activate your power and know that we are all unstoppable together. We are